Have you ever met someone who seems absolutely certain they're right, even when they're completely wrong? Maybe they interrupt everyone, reject expert advice, and never admit mistakes. Now here's the uncomfortable question. What if we've all acted like that at some point? Today, we're exploring the fascinating psychology behind why some people think they're much smarter than they actually are, and how recognizing this bias can make us wiser. One of the biggest myths in psychology is that confident people must be intelligent. In reality, confidence and competence are two very different things. Some of the smartest people constantly question themselves, while those with the least knowledge often feel the most certain. Our brains can mistake certainty for accuracy, even when the evidence says otherwise. Psychologists David Dunning and Dunning-Kruger discovered something surprising. People with limited knowledge in a subject often overestimate their abilities because they lack the skills needed to recognize their own mistakes. It's like trying to judge your own singing when you've never learned what good singing actually sounds like. When you know only a little about a topic, everything seems simple. Problems appear easy and answers feel obvious. But as you learn more, you begin to realize just how much you don't know. Ironically, gaining knowledge often makes people less certain because they finally understand the complexity. Have you ever thought you understood something until someone asked you to explain it? Suddenly, your explanation falls apart. Psychologists call this the illusion of explanatory depth. We often believe we understand everyday things far better than we actually do. Social media rewards confidence, not accuracy. Short videos, bold opinions, and dramatic claims spread much faster than careful explanations. People who sound certain often attract more attention, even when they're wrong. Over time, this can convince both creators and viewers that confidence equals truth. Many people don't defend their opinions because they're correct. They defend them because their identity is attached to them. Admitting a mistake can feel like admitting personal failure. Instead of changing their beliefs, they protect their ego by rejecting evidence. Our brains naturally search for information that supports what we already believe. This is called confirmation bias. Instead of asking, "Am I wrong?" we ask, "Who agrees with me?" The more we stay inside our own bubble, the more convinced we become. Doing something for years doesn't automatically make someone an expert. Without feedback and learning, people can repeat the same mistakes for decades. Real expertise comes from continuous improvement, not simply spending time. Interestingly, highly knowledgeable people often underestimate their abilities. Because they understand how much there is to learn, they recognize their limitations. This humility isn't weakness. It's usually a sign of deeper understanding. The ego loves certainty. Saying "I don't know" feels uncomfortable because it threatens our self-image. But refusing to admit uncertainty closes the door to learning. Growth begins the moment we become comfortable with not knowing everything. Overconfidence affects more than debates. It influences investing, driving, relationships, health decisions, and even careers. People who overestimate their abilities often take unnecessary risks because they believe failure only happens to others. When someone believes they already know enough, advice feels unnecessary. Instead of listening, they search for reasons to dismiss the speaker. This is why teaching people who think they already know everything can be incredibly difficult. Being intelligent isn't about never being wrong. It's about changing your mind when new evidence appears. The smartest thinkers throughout history were willing to revise their beliefs instead of protecting outdated opinions. Knowledge is collecting facts. Wisdom is knowing when those facts are incomplete. Truly wise people ask questions, seek different perspectives, and stay curious long after others think they found all the answers. People often mistake arrogance for leadership. Someone who speaks loudly and confidently may seem more capable than someone who speaks thoughtfully, but appearances can be deceptive. Real expertise usually values precision over performance. Every skill starts with admitting you're a beginner. Whether it's learning a language, playing an instrument, or understanding psychology, progress only happens when you're willing to say, "I still have a lot to learn." When we surround ourselves only with people who agree with us, our opinions become stronger, even if they're wrong. without disagreement or constructive criticism, overconfidence grows unchecked. Intelligent people aren't afraid to ask simple questions. They know curiosity is more valuable than pretending to know everything. Asking questions is a strength because it's the fastest path to deeper understanding. If you rarely change your mind, interrupt people before they finish speaking, dismiss experts without evidence, or feel offended whenever you're corrected, your confidence may be outrunning your knowledge. The good news is that awareness is the first step toward improvement. Read books that challenge your opinions. Listen more than you speak. Seek feedback instead of praise. Admit mistakes quickly. The goal isn't to win every argument, it's to learn something new every day. No one is immune to cognitive biases. Even psychologists, scientists, and experts make mistakes. Intelligence isn't about being perfect. It's about recognizing that your brain can fool you and staying open to correction. Studies suggest that people who practice intellectual humility are better learners, make better decisions, and have healthier relationships. Saying, "I could be wrong," doesn't make you less intelligent. It often makes you more credible. No matter how intelligent someone is, everyone has blind spots. We all carry biases, assumptions, and areas where our knowledge is incomplete. Recognizing this isn't a weakness, it's one of the healthiest psychological habits you can develop. Self-awareness begins with accepting that none of us sees the entire picture. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset shows that people who believe abilities can improve are more likely to embrace challenges and learn from mistakes. Instead of seeing intelligence as something fixed, they treat it like a skill that grows through effort, practice, and continuous learning. This mindset makes people more resilient and more open to feedback. Perhaps the biggest lesson is this: the people most convinced they're always right are often the least likely to question themselves. Meanwhile, those who regularly reflect, learn, and admit uncertainty continue growing throughout life. The goal isn't to prove you're the smartest person in the room. The goal is to leave every conversation knowing a little more than when you entered it. So, the next time you meet someone who seems absolutely certain about everything, remember that confidence alone doesn't reveal intelligence. And before judging others, ask yourself an even more important question: could I be making the same mistake? Self-awareness is one of the greatest signs of wisdom, and the willingness to keep learning is what truly separates growing minds from stagnant ones. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next psychology deep dive. And now we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever caught yourself being overconfident about something? Share your experience in the comments below. We read every comment and would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.